Ivor? Ivor, if you please. Good morning, Ivor. You set it down here for me, please? Thank you. Did you put the cat out?
Yes, your paper's been ironed, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ivor. Let me tell you about Ivor, whose mother raised no foolish children. Ivor is an English butler, as you may have already guessed, and very proud of his profession. He does it well, and he wants you to know that not everybody can do it. He also wants you to know that in order to become the professional person that he is, that you don't just walk in, put on a black cap, and salute the people for whom you work. There's a lot to it, and the people for whom he has worked have expected a lot of professional service from him. And not surprisingly, he moved from serving as a butler for some of the most important and prominent families in England to actually opening his own butler's school.
Take his coat off, put it on your, as if it all... Take his coat off, put it on your, as if it almost came from Harrods or great stores.
Right.
It's a dirty old raincoat, actually. It's a bit smelly, but you treat it like a sable or mink coat.
Right.
Nice to see you, sir. What sort of journey did you have? Would you like to freshen up? Make him welcome, and then take him inside and to your host and introduce him.
So obviously you don't want to be ostentatious because the butler...
very low-key.
Uh-huh. And I assume there's a good deal of attention given in your school to communication. We don't want our butlers to talk too much, do we?
Oh, that's what's happened at Buckingham Palace and all. It has been terrible. When a person works for another person, even after he leaves their employment, after 6 months or 6 years or 60 years, he should never, ever divulge what he has heard. This is absolutely wrong.
Right.
It's against, you should have loyalty, to be discreet.
Right. Now, do you shop?
Oh, absolutely. We're very much like the housewives, because sometimes we've got 14 servants, and some of our butlers have got no servants. The dailies come in, or the cleaner.
Right.
So we shop, and we run a house just like a normal housewife does.
But I assume you have an account, then, in the master's name, so to speak?
Certainly, charge cards, but
now
we go into supermarkets.
All right, but to ensure that you're ready for whatever his wish might be, it would seem to me that you would be tempted to buy half the store to make sure you're ready for whatever... Do millionaires mind that?
Millionaires want value for money, more so than an ordinary person. If they were having salmon at night, and the lady of the house said, Spencer, by the way, this is beautiful salmon, what did you pay for it? And I'd say, well, it's $12 a pound, man. $12? Well, I went by so-and-so, and it was $10, and they're very annoyed. They hate waste.
They do.
Absolutely, and yet they can entertain on a lavish scale.
And in the matter, have I read, incidentally, I notice you identify yourself as Spencer, so that you use your last name.
Always.
Spencer, okay. And is that the instruction you give all your graduates?
Absolutely.
As well?
They never answer by their first names.
I see. So I would be Donahue if I
Mr.
was...
Donahue or Sir?
No. I mean, if I'm a graduate...
Oh, yes, Donahue.
Donahue. That's got a nice sound to it.
You seem as if you're interested in being a graduate, aren't you?
Now, is there a difference between American millionaires and other European or elsewhere in the world?
Very much so.
Tell
the
me.
American millionaire is a more friendly person and a more generous person, but that can be a very difficult point for the butler. The American millionaire wants him to play tennis with him, travel with him. We travel, but you can be too friendly, and it's no good. Familiarity is the worst possible thing that a butler can do. He's got to be friendly but not familiar. He mustn't get too friendly, so we send a young man to Atlanta, maybe 20, a good-looking guy, and the daughter of the house wants him to take her to a dance. He doesn't. Not that we're not as good as him, Phil, or they're not as good as us. It's just that this is how it should be.
A certain
done.
distance.
Absolutely. In great taste, great style.
I assume you're aware, or you can see, there are, however wonderful has been your compliment to American millionaires, familiarity can breed a certain behavior that I'm sure is repugnant to you and anyone else who's in the service industry. What do you do when the master starts the finger snapping?
You never answer him. No, and you shouldn't even do it to anybody. I mean, you know, the waiter or ourselves, we're on, you know, waiter as a person, a lot of people go, and it's in such bad taste.
Yes. You also say that many millionaires have junk food for lunch?
That's right, yes. We are serving millionaires in America, and at night they may be having very nice food, but they love junk food. In fact, I like it too, so.
Well, do you feel any obligation to sort of steer the millionaire toward a more
None at all. None at all.
It's his business, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I
Whatever
see.
he wants, we're here to please him.
Do you walk the dog as well, Spencer?
Walk the dog? Oh,
Yeah.
certainly.
You do?
Yeah, and we're very careful. Those who don't like dogs don't go into houses with dogs. Because some of those, we've got those big guard dogs, and some of our boys are very much afraid of the dog.
Spencer, let me establish what we're about today. First of all, we have, as you have so well established, there is, believe it or not, a considerable demand for butler service around the world, not only this country but elsewhere. And the people you're going to meet on this program are people who are in the service industry, not necessarily. We have a woman who founded Nanny Incorporated. She is a woman who graduates people who are ready and informed and very able to sit or be the surrogate mother to your children while you go to your job as vice president of the bank or whatever it is that you do. They take their job very seriously, and they're not just walk-ins. These are people who've read Chaim Ganat, who've read Ben Spock, Pick, and all the latest in child psychology, so that you trust the adult in whose company you have placed your most valued possession, your child or children. We have a bodyguard. You'll meet other people who have suddenly discovered that in this age of so-called recession, we have, as a matter of fact, an industry which is booming. It is the service industry. And the next time you are served by a person, mind your manners. Not only should you extend to that person dignity, which is their right as a person, but you should also extend your admiration, because they may be making more money than you are. And we hope you'll join us.
The bathroom is the most popular room in my house.
Excuse me.
So I spend a lot making it look nice. But there's one pretty thing that doesn't cost me a lot. Coronet bathroom tissue.
I'm busy.
Coronet gives you 2-ply tissue for the price of 1-ply. That way you get a lot, not pay a lot. So I put Coronet in all my bathrooms.
And the skies are not cloudy all day.
When I can get into them. Extra value is what you get when you buy Coronet.
Just one taste, and this pudding expert will say, new Jell-O instant pudding tastes as smooth and creamy as cooked pudding. Then I will take a bite. Smooth and creamy, right?
Let's not rush this.
New Jell-O brand instant pudding tastes better than ever.
It is just as smooth and creamy as cooked.
You mean it was?
New Jell-O instant pudding tastes as smooth and creamy as cooked pudding.
The greatest Hoover sale of the season is going on now at the May Company. Save $10 to $70 on the #1 name in floor care and register for a mini Las Vegas vacation. Save on the Spirit canister or the popular upright. Your choice, just $79.99. Save on the Hoover Power Hit canister. Now at the May Company, save big on the Concept 1. It's power driven. Save $10 to $70 at the May Company and register for your Las Vegas getaway today.
How'd they do it?
Where'd it go?
I don't miss it.
It's good, you know?
Our taste 100%. You'll wonder where caffeine went.
RC 100's for me. Great cola, taste caffeine free.
For great taste, now there's 2. RC 100's for you.
Regular and sugar free.
RC 100.
RC 100. Our taste 100%. You'll wonder where caffeine went.
RC 100 regular and sugar free.
Hi, is the caller there?
Yes, I was wondering as whether or not Mr. Spencer appears to be a very qualified man, and I was admiring all his services, but if a well-off woman wanted the same qualifications, would it be available in a female assistant or right hand or valet, whichever the correct word is.
In other words, if you had the money and you'd want a woman butler.
Well, it would be socially improper to have a man as my right hand waking me up in the morning. It could get somewhat embarrassing.
It could. How about women?
Not at all. It's not improper. We always do it, have done for 100 years. But I have trained the world's first girl butler. She's 20, and she's available now.
You're kidding.
I mean it, sincerely.
Well, we can only speculate on the phone calls.
And she's marvelous.
I'm sure.
She's marvelous.
Now let me establish who else is here. First, meet Beth Smith, founder of Nanny Incorporated. This woman has received a good deal of media attention lately because there are, as we don't have to tell you, increasing numbers of people who need help in raising children. Women we all know about the terrific increase in the number of women who are working outside the home. How long is the course, Ms. Smith?
It's 12 weeks. It's a 12-week course, 400 hours. Can I make a correction
By
on
all
something
means.
you said in the beginning?
Sure.
We really don't view the nannies as surrogate mothers, by the way. And I think that's a very sensitive issue because parents who are leaving their children with nannies are very concerned about that. But we do view them as a support to the mother.
Uh-huh. You must have, your phone must be ringing all day long. Most people most mothers who unfortunately have found themselves as the people who have the responsibility of finding someone to sit with the child. And I suppose you want us to know you do more than sit, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. Can I talk to, you have, as a matter of fact, one of your graduates is in the audience.
Yes,
Cynthia?
Cynthia Robinson.
Cynthia, if you'd speak up just a little bit, because we're working with so many mics here today, we may have some trouble with our audio. You're a nanny for twins. How old are the twins? Yeah. You know, you'll pardon this negative question, but it's hard enough raising your own kids. Don't the twins drive you a little batty?
You don't hear.
Yes, we want to get over here. All right. Don't the twins, doesn't it get on your nerves all day long with those kids?
Well, sometimes it do.
But, and is it understood that you are occasionally going to have your own impatience with the child just as a mother would?
Yes, this happens.
But you, as an employed person being paid for this responsibility, it would seem you have less freedom to let your feelings known than the natural mother would.
Yes, well, it's not only twins, it's twins and a 3-year-old. So, it gets rough sometimes, but I go through it. I have went through it with my own, so I can deal with this.
How many children do you have?
I have 6 children of my own.
How old is your youngest?
My youngest is 4.
Now, where is there another graduate watching your child?
No. Well, my oldest daughter, she's doing her schooling in the evening, so my 4-year-old is in school, preschool, and she's there to assist him.
I see. And what are your hours for the people for whom you work?
From 8 till 5.
I assume you don't sit all day watching Big Bird on TV, do you?
No, we, do some activities, run around, go outside.
Go to the park and stroll and walk and do all those things.
Yeah.
And do you make suggestions regarding the nutrition for the child, or does mother instruct you for that?
Well, I asked the mother about it, and whatever she wants me to give the child, this is what I do.
Okay. Beth, how much is it to enroll in your course? A woman out there who likes children, wants to enhance her own income, how long? You've established how long?
The course is $1,500.
And what do you get for that?
What do you get? Oh,
some of the things.
Tremendous
Tell me about
amount.
Tell me about the curricula.
Okay, as I said, it's a 12-week course, and we basically try to teach our students everything they would want to know about raising children from 0 to 5 years of age. And basically that's child development, child psychology, safety, health, nutrition, CPR, all of the nannies are trained in. And just to kind of make that more meaningful, we teach people how to show love, how to discipline children, how to handle temper tantrums, the significance of security blankets, those kinds of things, how to deal with separation anxiety when the mother or the father is leaving in the morning and the child is crying. So basically a lot.
I have a question. Children tend to care about the person who cares for them. Does any jealousy ever arise between the mother and the nanny, where the child might show more affection towards the nanny?
No, that's a very good question, and it's one that we're faced with all the time. From all of the research that has been done, it's shown that while the child may have an attachment to the nanny, that's nothing like the feeling they have for the mother. And the research they've done has shown the nanny and the mother together, coming together, and the child always prefers the company of the mother. And when the nanny and the mother are leaving, the child is always more distressed about the mother leaving. But yes, it's a real concern.
And how much are your graduates? Isn't that what we want to know? Can you give us...
How much are they?
Yes.
What do they earn?
Yes.
They earn about 13 to 15,000 a year. That's if they live out. If they live in, which quite a number of our graduates are doing, they earn less than that. But the graduates, the interesting thing is when I started this, we were really focusing in on a career for women or men. We don't have a male nanny yet, but for people who really wanted to work with children. But there's extraordinary perks. A lot of the nannies have been given their own apartments, their own car to drive, and a lot of things, medical insurance.
You claim you train them in discipline. What if your philosophy differs from the parents?
Yeah, that's
I assume you don't spank. Your graduates don't spank.
No, not at all, as a matter of fact. What we do is try to do a lot of very careful matching between the nanny and the parent. We meet a lot with the family and try to have the family decide the kind of person that they would want to bring in. We then encourage a lot of communication between the nanny and the family prior to that nanny ever making a commitment to the family. And issues like that are brought up. So we hope to be able to make a match between the nanny and the family that are philosophically similar.
My question would be that if a child chooses its own natural mother over the nanny in regards to being companion-wise, would it not choose that only because it spends more time with the nanny and therefore gets the direction and the discipline from that? And the mom can necessarily be nicer? She's not had to cope with all the frustrations during the day.
Oh no, I think it's much more than that. But again, we do a lot of work with the nannies in terms of they're not there as a replacement for the mother, and we stress that clearly, and we also help them work with the parents in terms of understanding that. But basically, that they're there as a support. So we really try to minimize any potential competition that might exist.
Okay.
But hopefully, the child is seeing two good people who are very involved in caring for them.
Consistent with our effort to share with you just some of the service industries that have expanded considerably over recent weeks. Carol, if you'll give me just a moment here, let me pass for just a second to Patrick Roach. He is a personal protector. When I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, we used to call them bodyguards. He has worked for several celebrities. You are based in Los Angeles, not surprisingly. And in this age of negative behavior, your demand for your service is certainly on the increase. Do you own your own company, or?
No, I work for other firms.
So you hire a?
That's right.
Okay, you're telling us, first of all, you don't have to be. You're rather a large-sized gentleman, but you don't have to be Mr. T to be a bodyguard, do you?
Absolutely not. I think there's a move away from that.
Really?
Yeah.
You've got to have a good head, obviously.
Yeah.
You can't be trigger-happy.
No.
Otherwise, you wind up locking out the star's mother from his own house. You probably have much the same pressure that Spencer has, in that you have to know familiarity is part of the whole, familiarity with the personal entourage or friends of the star.
That's right.
Is important.
Phil,
hang on just one second. Let him make his point. Go ahead.
You mentioned stars. That's only a part of protecting public figures. I'm involved in the protection of political figures and executives for large corporations as well.
You wanted to say,
Phil,
Spencer?
I was going to say that we teach, not me, I don't do it personally, I know nothing about it, but our boys, our fellows and the girl, has to learn Kung Fu.
Kung Fu?
Kung Fu.
Your butlers have to learn Kung Fu?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And now Thai boxing, and gun training. And when they come over here, yesterday, one of our boys in New York phoned me and said he's now been given an evasive driving. I don't know much about that, because that's not my side, but you probably know about that. But they still have also other people like our friend here.
Right.
Those people involved in services with individuals that need protection, you don't rely on one person exclusively like a personal protector. It's very important that those people involved in management of the protection of a family or individuals train and interact with butlers and the like, and nannies.
Right.
We talked about this backstage.
But give me some of the latest. Just share with me some of the things you have to think about. For example, you don't want to take the same route to work every morning. Is that part of it?
That's absolutely part of it. A number of things. For instance, probably our concern, traditionally you're talking about when you grew up, the bodyguard was a Mr. T type that was present all the time with the person or the principal that they were protecting. And now there's a lot of management and a lot of planning involved. Someone has to be well informed. And you don't want confrontations with people. You want to protect the principal. And in protecting the principal, you want to safely respond. CPR you mentioned. It's certainly important that I know CPR. I deal with senior executives that are in their late 70s, and they're probably more subject to heart attack than being physically attacked. Another thing that we do is expedite their movements, and that involves a lot of planning, alternate routes, telephone conversations. I've already mentioned guests coming to the home.
And you also have to look reasonably inconspicuous when you're in his company. Is that so?
Yes, and it depends on the principal. Some of them like very close coverage, like you're right next to them all the time in that traditional role.
Yeah.
Some want you to be very low-key. I've certainly been in situations where people didn't know I was there. I look like a businessman if I want to, or any number of other things.
And so somebody comes up and says, "Hi, what do you do? What do you do? What do you say?"
It depends where I am.
Okay.
And the circumstance. That's why you must be well informed and be in touch with the principals you're protecting.
Is there good money in this, Mr. Roach?
Yes, and I think that there'll be a lot more money in this in the future.
Yeah. Well,
It's rather new.
I would think that perhaps some discouraged police officers who perhaps went into law enforcement with a heart filled with goodwill and real genuine interest in public safety might, having become maybe disillusioned by that work, think about your work.
Well, I find that policemen traditionally, and it's always been a second job to them, that's changing. There's a lot less people involved in law enforcement than I'm seeing in dealing with some of the public figures that there are people in the security business primarily dealing exclusively with this. Policemen's really not trained. Most police departments in the United States don't train policemen to be personal protectors.
It's a different activity, you're saying.
It is indeed.
Is the caller there?
I want to know if there are any differences your guest has seen between the rich people that they guard and the average person on the street.
Oh, yes. I would say that, well, certainly public figures are recognizable. The average person on the street's concern aren't quite the same. You and I can go virtually any place. Mr. Donahue, for instance, he can't discreetly go any place he wishes. And there's another part. It isn't just the protection of the person. Part of that protection is annoyance.
Well, I think he wants to know whether there's a different in personality and in attitude.
Oh, I see.
Are they more impatient? Are they? Do they appreciate their wealth or power or both?
I find that most of the people that I've been involved in protecting are really excellent people and much more patient than many other people that I deal with.
Is the caller there?
Yes, we heard that butlers make $25,000 to $40,000 a year, and nannies make $13,000 to $15,000 a year.
And that's how it should be.
Well, is this because one is a male-dominated profession and one is a female-dominated profession? Certainly caring for one's children has to be more important than butlering.
Well, I agree there. They should get 40,000, we should get 60,000. How many kids?
Well, you might, Spencer, you might, in order that you do not need Mr. Roach's services as you make your exit here, it might be useful to suggest that the woman does make a point, and that maybe we should, at the very least, equalize these salaries, or, as this woman suggests, pay the nannies more, since the care and the responsibility that your graduates are being charged with is of enormous importance. We're talking about the very expansion of the mind and the personality of the child, for example, that Cynthia cares for.
You know, we're talking about more than that, too. We're talking about our next generation. We're talking about the children who are going to shape what our culture is going to be like. But I would like to respond to that. I think that we're in a bit of an unfortunate dilemma in terms of the salary. I think nannies clearly are worth much more than that. But I think that one of the things that happens is we very much had a babysitting mentality in the United States. And if someone couldn't do anything else, then go look after someone else's children because you didn't really need to have any skills. Clearly, we're violently opposed to that, and we think that you need a very special kind of person who's going to be involved. But we're really kind of impacting on culture here. In Europe or in England, the role of the nanny is very well established, and they can command the salaries. But here, we're really having to try to move people away from just getting someone to babysit into bringing in a professional person. We're still having difficulty with that kind of salary, although I think it should be much higher. But we're still dealing with the thing where we have the families who will have their, $1 million home and their Mercedes, and they still barter to try and find someone for $1.50 an hour to look after their child, which is absolutely ridiculous.
I want to identify Angus Cooper is here. Those who visit New York may recognize Mr. Cooper. He is maitre d' for one of America's most famous restaurants, situated as it is uniquely in the internationally famous Central Park. He is the maitre d' for Tavern on the Green in New York City, and you have a business and accounting degree, do you?
I have a degree in business administration and accounting, yes.
Yeah. And you apparently, your eyes opened some time ago when you recognized that you could have either been a blue suit guy running around a building for some multinational company and perhaps making less money there than you do now in what is essentially a service job.
That is correct. Initially, after service, I worked for the city, and then I worked for private industry. And while I was working in those capacities, I worked part-time as a waiter and bartender.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that I enjoyed working with people, and that service business could be a very lucrative business also.
Right, as it has been for you.
Yes, it has.
It is not, however, the perception of the people of our land. Some, but most, do not appreciate, first of all, that there's a lot to what you do, but more importantly, there's good money in it. And some of the snootiness that you might take from a customer may come from someone who makes less money than you do. In other words, your job has bad public relations. Certainly the job of the waiter or the waitress does.
Right. Well, it's a service business, and many people frown upon the service industry as being a lesser desired profession, but that is not the case. I mean, you need a special person to work in a service business. See, I enjoy working in service business because I enjoy seeing people enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm good at it. And as a result, people appreciate that, and they reward you in the sense that...
I would think your biggest pressure is not having a table for Frank Sinatra. Mm-hmm. Isn't it?
Well, that would be a problem.
Or a lesser light who may be even more negatively responsive to the fact that he's not immediately accommodated. Isn't that where you really make your money? Keeping someone calm in the lobby from the time he enters to when you get him.
But then the bodyguard comes in first.
That's when the bodyguard comes in first. Yes.
No, well, that is where it requires a special person to be like a maitre d'. You must be able to appease, relax a person if there's a problem in getting them seated, say, on time. Let's say if you arrived at the restaurant and you said, unfortunately, I do not have a reservation, right away we would recognize you, and we said, Mr. Donahue, if you'd be so kind, just wait in the cocktail lounge for a couple minutes, or for a short period of time, we'll give you the next table available.
Yeah, but what about the person who doesn't have the good fortune of having his or her own talk show, who's been waiting there longer? Are you going to seat me first?
They kick the others out.
I would just...
What?
No. You. Okay. To be honest, you do receive a little special consideration. I'm being honest. I'm going to give you an honest answer.
But I wouldn't take it. I would wait for the...
Let's say...
What? Go ahead, Agnes.
Okay. Someone who did not have a reservation. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's a normal wait time. But we do on our reservations. That we do.
Okay.
I mean, we would not bump someone who had reservation to seat you. However, if we had a cancellation or something, we would...
Right. Well, it's no secret that a lot of so-called celebrities do become very accustomed to specialized, to the special treatment they receive, and many do become spoiled. However much you defend against it, you find your own tolerance and impatience lowering and lowering, and I think it's something everybody, everybody who has the good fortune of having a
You know, this
taste
is, okay, it's good for the restaurant and it's good for the customer because customers like to be sitting there.
Yeah,
They like
but
to
if
sit
you're
next-
from Des Moines and you're waiting there with your family...
Oh, I'm not saying that. This
All right.
is people with reservation. We do honor that.
Carol Carmichael is here, and we'll meet her in a moment, but I do have to break. She's business editor of the Philadelphia Daily News. She will tell you, among other things, in a moment, that these are the industries that are growing, and if you're out of work, don't be proud. There's good money and challenge. These are not menial, boring jobs. These are jobs that from the testimony of all these people, are jobs that are varied in nature and and allows one to expand his own personality, and also you meet a lot of interesting people. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Help make a miracle real for a handicapped child with your donation to Las Floristas, Box 24032, Los Angeles 90024.
Why go out? Stay home with Family Circle and make pizza with pizzazz, dream ice cream, the tops in burgers, and consider yourself part of the family. Skin problems? Famous doctors give you the solutions in Family Circle. Create your own Kentucky home. Patchwork, stenciling, quilting, bluegrass cooking, wooden doorstops that are the cat's meow, all in Family Circle. A great buy at 75 cents. Check it out.
And consider yourself part of the family.
One stormy night, Eric discovered the golden seal.
I won't hurt you if you don't hurt me, okay?
To him, she became a companion. To everyone else, she was a hunted prize. The golden seal, an extraordinary friendship, an unforgettable adventure. The golden seal, rated PG.
Starts tomorrow at UA Cinema Center Westwood and Holly in Hollywood.
Here's a juicy tidbit. There's nothing but good in grapefruit juice.
It's good for your body from the Florida sun. Good for vitamin C. For thirst, it's the one. With a taste good and clean, good in ways that are new. Low on calories and salt with potassium, too. Look for Florida or the sunshine tree on the package.
It's good for you. It's good for me. It's good for your body naturally. There's nothing but good in grapefruit juice.
Now, the appliance sales event you've been waiting for. It's Whirlpool Week at the Broadway. You'll find a lineup of quality-built Whirlpool appliances during this one-week event. At the Broadway, you'll save $70 on this 19-cubic-foot energy-saving refrigerator, now just $679. There's even a $50 rebate to Edison customers, and half off on this optional automatic ice maker, all during Whirlpool Week at the Broadway.
We said that Carol Carmichael is here, business editor for the Philadelphia Daily News. Service industry, when more people lose jobs, or when times get rough, more mothers have to go to work, for example, and that creates an increased demand for not only that service, but others.
Exactly. We're seeing that with Beth here as a result of working women entering the workforce in huge numbers. 52% estimated now of the workforce is made up of women, created an industry for Beth to foster a business. Patrick here is a result of what's happening in society, as well as Angus and as well as Spencer.
You're talking about the personal protector.
Exactly. Crime is on the upheaval. Everyone in Hollywood got on their tithers when John Lennon was shot in the middle of Central Park of New York, wherever it took place. President Reagan was shot coming out of a hotel. So from the executive to the celebrity, people are in search of better ways to secure their bodies.
Yeah. I would think Beth Smith's, the demand that she's meeting is being only met in a very limited way.
Oh, for
however
sure.
good is her school, I would think her phone would be ringing all day long.
It should be, but the point was brought up by the caller who said that the women still earn less money than the men. So when you find, excuse me, Spencer, but it's true, when you find fewer women managers making $30,000, $40,000 a year who can afford to put a $15,000 employee on their payroll, hence the problem exists.
Well, I think one thing is that
a lot of the mothers are working because they need to go out and work and make the money to survive in today's economy. An alternative that I have is that my sister-in-law lives with us, and it works out very nicely because the economy and her trying to work and support her little one, that is an alternative.
Do you pay her, or is this a family?
It works together. We all support into the family.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
But it's rare.
If you've got a relative nearby.
Exactly, and a support system. People who are working, women who are working, who are managers, who are working 10 and 12 hours a day, they run into horrendous problems. I face these problems myself.
But there are very limited relatives around now. In the days when I was brought up, you had your mother-in-law or your mother or your family all around, and it's a very isolated kind of community now. And you don't have the person down the street, or you don't even have neighborhoods with good neighbors in many instances who will take care of the children. So there really is a tremendous need.
Is the caller there, please?
I think all of these professions cater to the rich and just perpetuate the snob element that we really have enough of in our society. It just puts wedges between groups of people and creates a class system. What do you think of that?
Well,
may I answer that?
I'd like to answer that, Phil.
May I answer that?
Yeah.
I would say...
Spencer.
I would say, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to ask you a few questions. Do you live in a nice area?
Do I?
Yes?
Yes, sure.
Right. Do you run a car?
Oh, yes.
If you got the money, would you go to nice restaurants?
Would I go where?
Would you go to nice restaurants?
To nice
restaurants. If you had the money, would you go to nice restaurants?
If I had the money, would I go to a nice restaurant?
Right, and if you could afford it, my last question, would you travel first class?
Not necessarily.
Be honest.
No, not necessarily. And I've traveled around the world 3 times.
Yeah.
And I have never gone first class because I meet the most interesting people when I'm not in that snob element and they're all sitting there drinking their champagne and being catered to.
But I can assure you, most people, if they can afford it, want a better education, a nicer house, a bigger car, go to a different place for holiday. Nobody is different, I can assure you. I have apart from being running the school for butlers, I'm a professional Toastmaster in London. I've covered over 700 royal occasions. And I often hear people say, we should abandon and disregard the monarchy and get rid of it. And yet they're the first ones to watch the wedding. So, madam, I don't believe you.
Can I say something about
Yeah, I'll give you a chance. Hold it. Gee, I wish you could come down and chat with us. But I'm glad you called, and I thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Congratulations, you've got Lysol spray in your bathroom.
Sure.
Nothing kills household germs on surfaces better.
I know.
And you know how well it gets rid of bathroom odors. But what about the rest of the house? What are you saving it for? Use it for cooking odors, pet odors. Lysol spray cleans air instantly. Even eliminates smoke odors.
Fantastic.
And leaves a fresh, clean scent. No ordinary air freshener does as much as Lysol disinfectant spray. Regular or scent too. You own it, use it.
You bet.
What are you saving it for?
Crime. It creates more victims daily. If you're a victim of a violent crime, call Victims for Victims now. Help is a phone call away.
I've been around chickens pretty much all my life, and I know good chicken when I see it. This part's the breast. Here's how you ought to get it. Hormel chunk breasted chicken. Now that's good chicken. Why, look at this. Tastes just like home cooked. Look at that chunk. Agnes never cooked chicken this good. Just never got the hang of it.
Hormel chunk breasted chicken, home-cooked taste without the home cooking.
Am I blue?
Am I blue? Am I blue? Yes, I'm blue, hoping you won't be too.
When you need a laxative, dependable Phillips is a true blue friend. Most doctors agree milk of magnesia is gentler than the ingredient in the leading tablet. Unlike bulk laxatives, Phillips is so dependable it usually works overnight.
Am I blue? I'm true blue just for you.
Dependable Phillips.
Was I blue? Remember the first time you tasted a Diet Cola? After a while, you even learned to live with it. But were you ever really thrilled with the taste?
You won't taste the diet in Diet 7-Up. With no caffeine, it's fresh and light. No funny diet taste, yes, that's right.
That doesn't look like a Diet Cola.
Doesn't taste like one either.
You won't taste the diet in Diet
I'm Kirsty Wild. Today in the news at 4, an exclusive report on a modeling agency that police say was a front for teenage prostitution. We'll look deeper into the steroid story with a report on the real dangers facing athletes who use the drug. The president is in town courting the Latino vote, and we'll see if anybody laughs at the funniest guys in Westwood. Those stories and more when we join you at 4.
Hi, we're the Yellows. We live on your teeth.
We're caused by coffee, cigarettes, and tea.
Keep tooth polish fights yellow surface stains. Keep helps get rid of the yellows.
Oh, it's toothache.
Toothache pain? Get maximum relief with Extra Strength Oragel, the pain reliever that works immediately and lasts for hours.
Extra Strength Oragel really works.
Johnston's yogurt has long been a standard of good taste in California, and now it's even better with a new, smoother texture. So here's to your good taste.
Living young and eating smart. With Mazzola, you're thinking young at heart.
This family thinks young at heart, and that means Mazzola. For the snap in salads or the crunch in my fried chicken. See, Mazzola is the only leading brand that's pure corn oil. Just perfect in a sensible diet to help reduce serum cholesterol.
Sensible? It's delicious.
With Mazzola, you're thinking young at heart.
The Best of Us Awards Show, Friday at 9.
They want to know if you have a butler. Do you, Spencer?
This gentleman, do I have a butler? No, I don't, but I've said to my wife, we can have any of our butlers free whilst they're training, and she said to me, it's $2 grand for us.
You don't want to be snobbish.
I'd love to have a butler.
Yeah.
She said it'd be
You meet a
$2
lot
grand.
more. You meet more interesting people back into the coach section. We should say, Spencer has a lot going for him, including being a spokesperson for Fresh and Dry, the air freshener. So don't feel sorry for Spencer. He's doing very well. One of his students is Michael Kuhn, who is a butler.
No, he's not one of my students.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
He's a nice guy. He's not one of my students.
Oh, all right. Well, don't back up from him too quickly because you may wish that he were. He's a butler here in Chicago, are you, sir?
Yes, I am.
For one family, many, or?
I work for a couple on Lakeshore Drive.
Right.
And I've worked for them for about 2 years.
You enjoy the work, obviously.
I certainly do.
Doesn't it get rather routine, though, Mike?
It never is routine.
Really?
No, every day there's a different thing to do, a different place to go, a different errand, a different dinner to make.
But your whole life is determined by the people for whom you work.
Yes, it is.
If they retire early, you can retire early.
That's true.
So you have to, I assume they have an obligation to you to communicate with you what their plans are for the day and so on?
Yes, they do. And working in an atmosphere like that, you do develop a very personal relationship, which has, of course, its pros and its cons.
Right. Do they have, you don't cook, I
Yes, I do.
You
I do all the cooking.
Not to be confused with Spencer, who did not cook, I assume.
We only do some of the cooking, maybe breakfast, black leg.
Well, you see, that's the difference between an English butler and a butler who works in this country.
Right. What got you into this work, Michael?
I was working in the office from 9 to 5, 15 years, and 2 years ago, because of the economic condition, I was laid off with 2 weeks' notice.
And you said, the heck with this, I'm never going to put myself...
Well, I tried to find a job for 3 months and didn't. And people said, well, Michael, you're talented, you can cook, why don't you try to do that? And I did, and within 3 weeks, I had a job.
Did you have any special schooling for that?
I did not. I learned, I was cooking, I knew how to cook, I knew how to clean, and all the finer points were taught to me by the people that I worked for.
I have a two-sided question. First, I'd like to ask if nannies ever have to learn kung fu and if protectors ever have to watch kids.
No, but I do think Miss Smith had something more important to say about the suggestion that this is an elitist group up here serving the poi polloi.
Thank you, Phil, for giving me that opportunity. Yeah, I was concerned about that comment, and I'd like to correct that very quickly. I think it's nice to be able to afford a butler, and it's nice to be able to afford a bodyguard, and it's nice to be able to afford to eat at tavern on the green. However, that's not the kind of service we are. And when we got started, it was never to be a service to the elite, but to people like myself who had children and who really needed some very good, responsible help for it. The salary, yes, 13 to 15,000 may seem a lot. We have families sharing nannies. So again, it's not an elitist kind of thing. It's something that we really want to have as a service to all of the working people for whatever reason they have to work, so that they can go with some peace of mind that they have a quality person being involved with their child at home.
And we'll be back in just a minute.
I'm John Beer. Coming up in the news at 4, an exclusive report on the breakup of an international prostitution ring involving male juveniles. We'll see President Reagan courting the Hispanic vote today and have reaction from leaders of the Hispanic community. We'll show you how industry, labor, and government are getting together to help out unemployed workers, especially in the auto and steel industries. We'll show you how the shark from Jaws 2 got loose on the Hollywood freeway today and the problems it caused. And we'll show you the contest for the world's funniest person when Kirsten and I join you here in about 10 minutes.
So now you're blind. Life can still be worth living. Let Active Blind show you how. Give them a call at 936-9110.
Planters unsalted peanuts. Is this the Riviera? More tropical punch, please. And then perhaps a dip in the pool.
Planters unsalted peanuts. So crunchy and delicious, their fresh out of the shell taste makes ordinary occasions special.
Hey, Planters unsalted peanuts. Isn't that nice? To a real cute guy from your adoring fans, we love you, Frank Gifford. Frank Gifford? P.S. Give some to Don.
Going through the weekly food section, it's interesting to see how supermarkets advertise to get your business. Games, store coupons, and page after page of selected sale items. But Lucky realizes you want to save on more than just a few selected items. So by not offering gimmicks that cost them money, Lucky can offer you low prices every day on every item. So Lucky shoppers save on their entire food bill, whether they check their paper or not.
My starch comes out too stiff.
Mine comes out too starchy.
Not new spray and starch. It makes clothes come out beautifully.
My starch doesn't come out at all.
New spray and starch comes out beautifully. It's the first fabric finish ever in the no-clog trigger sprayer. And what a look. Crisp without being stiff. Get new spray and starch. Comes out beautifully.
All Phil and Jim stores are celebrating our biggest grand opening sale ever. Anaheim West, 333 South Euclid, south of Lincoln at Broadway. Big opening, big savings on this 23-foot Admiral with built-in ice cream maker. Or buy this 16-foot energy-efficient model at $499.88 with a big plus for Southern California Edison customers. A $50 cash rebate. Now at grand opening prices in all stores. Don't miss it.
Don't look now, but the person serving you may be making more than you.
I just want to know, what's your most outrageous request you've ever had?
For the butler, you're asking?
Yes.
I'm going to answer that quick, but can I just say very quickly that if we don't, I know we've spoken about money, Phil, but we don't only do this for money, because I tell you this, the hours that we work, and Michael will tell you that, and Nanny,
I know.
Solar,
Could not possibly pay.
We're dedicated.
Okay, yes.
I want to know from Beth the traits or the characteristics most of the nannies have to have before they're accepted into your program.
Okay, and that's a very good question. Basically, there's a common denominator in terms of a real involvement and a caring for children. But there's no particular profile. We have nannies from 17 up to 68 years old, all different kinds of backgrounds and whatever, but a real wanting to be involved in working with children.
Carol, you wanted to make a point.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that all the mothers in this country can begin to do is to stop pushing their kids towards computers and to start pushing them into waiting tables and learning some of the bare bones that go into the service industry. That's where they'll work.
Well, we do have the problem of supply and demand, though. The guy that waitresses work for or report to knows that out there are all kinds of jobless people who are willing to replace a person who gets uppity and might want a fair wage.
Exactly, but this is where they can aspire to.
Yes.
Are most nannies older women?
No, they range from, our youngest is 17, and our oldest one has been 68 years of age. And we think that there are both groups we'd love to have being involved.
My question is to Mr. Spencer. You've been in business a long time. Are you working on your first or second million?
Million.
May I say this? We can give you, I can give you a booklet that I've just written, free, which can help housewives run a home like we run a very big mansion.
Right. They'd love to make 40 grand a year doing it.
Do butlers ever watch children?
Do butlers ever watch children?
Yes, we do, especially the teenagers.
Yes. Yes.
I'd like to know, what are the qualifications of the people who teach your nannies, who train them?
We have all masters or PhD people who are
Over
involved
here.
in teaching in the program.
Mr. Spencer, what is taboo behavior on the part of the employer of the butler?
If he's a homosexual and he starts trying to have association, this is very serious, with a butler, that is taboo. If a man is drunk and he starts swearing at him, that is taboo, and the butlers would leave immediately.
Yes.
I'd like to ask the personal protector, are there some people that you won't work for?
Oh, absolutely. When I'm requested to protect the public figure, I always ask who it is.
Is the caller there?
Yes, I am.
Not much time.
Okay, I'd like to know if there are any women in the bodyguard profession, and if so, how would a woman break into this profession?
I think that's a good question. There are very few women, and traditionally it's been a man's role. I'd like to see more women get into it because it requires much more brains than it does brawn.
The increased women that are getting into the market now and jobs aren't making maybe $50,000 a year. How can they afford nannies? There's not much between $13,000 and the $1 an hour you pay a sitter now. There's nothing in between.
Bev said something very good about people sharing nannies. I've seen friends of mine who have cooperatively
split the cost.
And you have 2 or 3 families share a nanny, and then it becomes, I think, even more cost-effective than going into a daycare center or another alternative.
But you are right when you say that people will spend more money looking for a car than they will on deciding who's going to take care of their children.
That's still true.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Hey, what's with the sourpuss?
My dentures. I hate the taste after soaking. That tablet taste.
Sourpuss? Meet Denture Gel.
Introducing new Denture Gel, the first gel toothpaste just for dentures. Powerful stain-removing cleaners plus mouthwash ingredients leave dentures clean with a minty freshness you can taste.
My dentures do taste minty fresh. New Denture Gel sure beats tablet taste.
And that sourpuss.
Wondering what to wear to the season's first dance? With a special purchase on these stunning leather-wrapped sandals, popular sling style in the latest fashion, the woven look. Zodi's sale price just $10.88 a pair, only $10.88. For your leisure time, Zodi saves you over $6 on these genuine suede leather casuals. They're so comfortable, canvas padded insoles, and they're durable too. Regular $16.99, they're also only $10.88 a pair. Great casuals for $10.88.
Zodi's has it for you.
Now at H Salt, get 21 whole Gulf shrimp for this amazingly low price. It's shrimp, shrimp, and more shrimp. 21 tender, flavorful, golden breaded shrimp. Get it while the supply lasts. The H Salt 21 shrimp offer. A very special catch at a very special price.
21 shrimp, about $2.75 at H Salt stores displaying window banner.
Whenever you're doing what you like to do, Summit Premium California Wine in a Box is ready to go along to be part of the fun. Got something going?
Go for the Summit, it goes with whatever you do.
Here's the easy way to keep 27 5-ounce servings of quality wine chilled and ready for the fun. Summit Wine in a Box, always ready to go along.
Got something going?
Go for the Summit.
Hi, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm 15 years old, and I have a butler, and my parents are never home, and they're always at social engagements, and the butler to me is like a second parent. He takes care of me, he gives me friendly advice, and he's always there.
Yeah. The audience probably wants you to know that they wish that your parents would give you that much attention.
I do too, but, you know, I've got to understand them, and they're always doing stuff, and the butler is my parent. He does anything I want. I mean, I'm not spoiled or anything, but he really is there.
I wonder if there's a husband out there for you who's of similar disposition.
Oh, give me the address.
Yes.
I kind of feel that the services that you people perform up there, everybody's got the impression that these services are full-time. I understand that some of them you could be having part-time, such as bodyguard and so forth.
Right. Yeah. Well,
full-time, you're working 24 hours a day. You don't go on holiday.
But you could work for more than one client, I think is his point.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
There's a car you can hold on to 1/3 longer than the